sections 551, 552, posted the 22nd day of June 2018 at 5 p.m.
Sorry. May 29th, 2018 board meeting. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion by Mayor Molina.
Second.
Second by Councilman Salinas. All those in favor, or any questions? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item approved. Item number 4, discuss and consider authorizing the executive director to enter into an agreement with the Canvas Group for retail market analysis and real estate consulting. Mr. Trevino.
Mr. President, I think we can take no action on this one. Mr. Flacco was delayed, and he could not make it for this meeting, and he sends his apologies, but I'd like this set up for next meeting if we can.
Okay. Item number 4, no action. Number 5, discuss and consider authorizing the executive director to enter into agreement with NAI Rio Grande Valley to provide brokerage services. Mr. Trevino.
Yes, Mr. President, members of the board, we received a proposal. Of course, we've been given direction by the board to sell our properties, our EDC properties, our buildings. So one idea I brought and bringing to the board is having a brokerage company listed our properties and market our properties. We received a proposal from Mr. Mike Blum, partner and managing broker for NIA. He's here with us today to discuss the opportunities we may have in soliciting and working in an agreement with NAI Realco. And Mike and Mr. Molina are here today to present this to you.
Molina?
Yes, sir.
Carlos Molina.
No relation to me for the record.
No, for the record.
Thank you, Mr. Trevino, for inviting and giving us extending the invitation to address the council, and we thank you for your time, gentlemen. Mr. Blum is my associate, and he's the partner broker for our firm, NAI Rio Grande Valley. You're being handed out a brochure that I don't want to take your time up and go through all of it. It tells you about our company, which we're not only nationwide, we're valley-wide, statewide, national, but we're also international. We count on over 400 offices throughout the world, Latin America, North America, the Caribbean, Asia, Africa. We count on every state here in the United States. Germany, we've had inquiries from Germany, and as a matter of fact, offers on a retail center several years ago, all the way from Germany, because we have an office there. And as we've seen the city of Edinburgh grow and sprout, we see a lot of potential here, and that's what caught my eye when I called Mr. Trevino. Your industrial zone, I think, offers a lot. Edinburgh offers a lot. And we bring to the table an enormous amount of experience in commercial real estate, not residential, only in commercial. Mr. Blum, he'll tell you about himself, and you have our resumes there. But we use marketing, a marketing approach beyond anybody else. We have a CoStar and LoopNet that we pay around $30,000 a year for marketing and advertising purposes. That will not cost the city anything. That's what we provide. CoStar and LoopNet is where everybody goes to in the commercial industry that is looking for property, for a retail center, for a commercial center, for a warehouse. Okay, that's where they go to, and that's where they find us. We have a national or nationwide network that NAI and NAI Global. NAI Global, it consists of 400 offices, 7,000 professional agents throughout the world. So we bring a world of marketing techniques, marketing strategy, and advertising to put before you. NAI, of course, is we have a local office in McAllen and Harlingen. We service the valley. We do put up 4x4 foot signs. We have a database, many investors, retail industry, industrial industry, commercial industry that we feed out of, and we input also. We have something that's called outbound and inbound. Our affiliated office, let's say in Chicago, has a company that wants to move to the Valley. They call our office, say, we have an outbound assignment. We want a 100,000 square foot warehouse or 5 acres for this particular op. And we've done many sales like that because we're just connected all over the United States. We're in social media, websites all over. I think one of your partner cities has a slogan that was invented, drawn up years ago. It says, blank on the rise, okay? I think Edinburgh, if you look correctly, Edinburgh is the city on the rise right now. And you have a tremendous potential in your industrial zone with the right marketing techniques. That's what we bring to the table. We bring integrity, marketing, strategy, and that's what we do for a living. Bottom line, that's what we do for a living. We're honest and we're dependable and we're there for you. One thing we recommend, or that I recommend, having driven by the industrial zone, is some big sign that says Edinburgh North Industrial Zone. You'd be surprised how that will lighten things up for the industrial zone. Okay, you've got this. You can read too. I don't want to take up your time, but if you go through it and you'll see our website, you'll see NAI Global website. As far as commercial, I've sold, the last warehouse I sold in Edinburgh was your Nuasis Power Equipment, okay? Mike had that listing. That was an outbound. We worked through another affiliate and we sold it. So we deliver in commercial. And I'm going to let Mike now take over, and he's got a presentation.
Thank you, Carlos, and thank you, Mayor and Mr. Niquez and members of the board and Joey. Some of you may know me by history. I started my career in the real estate world.
Thank you.
Before I became a real estate person. I was city planner of Edinburgh, Texas in the summer of '72. I was a graduate student intern learning how to be a city planner. And I got to Edinburgh, Texas in the summer of '72. And after 2 months, I did something right. I don't know what it was, never did find out, but the mayor and the city manager at the time liked me, and the city planner had left, and so there was a vacancy. And dumb luck, good planning, I don't know what, but I got offered the job as a graduate student to be the city planner of Edinburgh. And everything I've done since happened because I was here. And so I always have a good feeling about coming back to Edinburgh to help my city, my first city, do some good things. When Carlos and I were putting together this presentation, we decided, because Joey sent us the inventory of your real estate, to approach this presentation not about how good we are, but how good we could be if you allowed us to take your assets and turn them into pieces of communication to others. We put together this little marketing package that's called the Industrial Sites, and it's got an aerial photograph of your property and a narrative description of what we consider to be the highlights of the property, the fact that it's on Interstate 69, that it's a fully established industrial park, large cold storage are nearby, close proximity to La Cienega. Its property is owned by the Edinburgh EDC, and that y'all have a range of economic incentives that you offer. A lot of information about what's going on in this property. If you turn the page, we got a copy of your survey, and we just put it here so that somebody could see that. But the next page shows who's in the neighborhood, both from Love's and Tractor Supply, but also FedEx and Santana Textiles, which has now got a new name, Denenberg, but they don't have a logo yet, so we left Santana there, and Nuco. But this is just to give you an idea and give someone else an idea of where is this land in relationship to the city. The next page is our attempt to try to paint a picture, a hypothetical, of what's the value of the real estate in the industrial park. And we picked this only because, again, Joey sent us this whole inventory, and of what he sent us, we thought this was the easiest one to talk about. We given you the acres of land and the square foot of those acres, and the appraisal district value that the appraisal district says the property's worth, and what's that value on a per square foot basis. And then hypothetically, we say, well, what if it's $3.50 a foot and not $3, and what if it's $3 and not $2.50, and then what does that turn into as a conceptual asking price? This is just a way for us to say to you, we can do this. We can do this and slice it and dice it any way you want. We just have to come in agreement what the asking price is. And then there's a big map of where is the property in relationship to the rest of the world. The last page is a demographic picture with information about, the area. We did this only as a demonstration to show you what we can do, and we can do the same thing with each and every one of your properties. Depends on what it is, whether it's a building for lease or building for sale, or in this case, land. We think this is a good way to open a dialogue. We sent to Joey a standard Texas Real Estate Commission listing agreement. You pay us nothing to do what we do. The buyer pays when you sell it to the buyer, and there's a real estate commission, and the commission's paid when there's a closing. Otherwise, we're just an asset to Joey to help him do what he does best at our expense, and to take Edinburgh and put it on the map. Everything we do is out there in the electronic world. And other real estate brokers around the country, around the world, and in Hidalgo County. The Hidalgo County brokers meet once a quarter, and we trade what did you do last month and what did you do the last quarter and how are things going in the marketplace, and we exchange ideas and we work together. We collaborate with each other. One of us has got the buyer and the other one's got the tenant. One of us got the land and the other one's got the user. And so we work together. The same thing goes with out of market. A Houston NAI affiliate contacted me the better part of 2 years ago for the facility, the NEP building. We sat on the thing for 2 years trying to find a buyer. It was overpriced. Great location, just overpriced. Carlos found a buyer, quick buyer. And so we made the deal. We think we can be a real added asset to Joey. He and I have known each other for 2 or 3 careers ago in one of his former lives. And we talk to each other, we understand each other, and we think, Carlos and I think we can be a real added value to you, to the city, and it would be an honor and a privilege to be of service to my town. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, the first question I have, Mr. Blum,
Yes, sir.
is you mentioned that the buyer pays the fee.
Well, the buyer's paying what he's paying, and the commission comes out of the sale proceeds.
Okay, so if the EDC is selling a property for $3 million, and we receive the $3 million, or we sell it for $3 million, or buyer for $3 million, whose side does it come out of? Does it come out of the seller's side, or does it come out of the buyer's side?
It's going to come out of the sale proceeds, 6% commission. 6% of $3 million is $180,000. That's a deduct from the $3 million.
From the $3 million, so we'll receive $2,800,000 and whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you didn't pay for it. The seller did.
I
mean, the buyer
you
did.
can work it in and say, well, this selling.
Yeah.
Dollar.
The other side is we're representing you. Odds are there's going to be another broker that's from out of town or from somewhere else. They're going to get half of the commission. Whatever the commission is, they're going to get the buyer's half, and we're going to get the seller's half. And if it's a 6% commission, then it's 3 and 3. But I'm just saying, it's not really coming out of your pocket. If you price the property right, you've included the commission in the price.
Okay. So my next question is, what is typically the market fee for a commission?
We typically, and it differs based on size and what is it. On land, which is what this particular example is, 6%. On a $10 million building, it may be 4%. It just all depends on what it is.
Okay.
And
so then you're saying that would be negotiated on a case-by-case basis?
It'll be negotiated on case by case. We just use 6 in this conversation because we like 6. It's better than 8. But
it's not better than.
When y'all get through beating on us, it may be 4.5. But it really depends. I did a deal with the folks from La Cienega not long ago. I think they call it the DPS headquarters, and that wasn't a 6. That was less than 6. And I was representing the buyer, but the seller was paying, and they encouraged me to take less.
They encouraged you, okay.
Yeah. But it was a good deal.
Right.
And it was a quick deal.
Right. Okay.
Well, we want all these deals to be good and we want them to be quick.
We couldn't agree more.
My first question is, who was the mayor in 1972?
Lloyd Hawkins,
Lloyd Hawkins, okay.
great mayor. He was the owner at the time of KURV Radio, and he was the voice of the Rio Grande Valley. He had this great, wonderful radio voice. He was
Wow.
a tall guy, and he was a giant in this community.
Do you remember him? Do you remember him there?
I would have been
He-
5 years old
Yeah,
at the time.
he was a young guy.
It didn't matter.
too.
I
I
know
wa- I
you
was
have
6.
fans that are 5 years old that
Yeah, Lloyd Hawkins was a great man, and the city manager, Jim DeBerry, was the city manager at the time.
Wow.
And Richard Montes de Oca, who was in here a little while ago, who you all probably know and love, he and I went to school together. We were suite mates in the opposite side of the hall when we both got married and lived in student housing. And so I've known that guy since 1967.
Good to know.
I have a question, okay? I'm going to start off here with, let's say we engage you and we say, okay, Joey, this is the direction that we want to go. Obviously, there's some type of contract that you will engage in with Joey and you'll get that done.
Right.
Let's say that we have somebody approach us with a business idea of some sort. And we say, you know what, that property's been sitting there for 3 months or 4 months. We really like this idea. How do we disengage a certain property, not all the properties? Is there any type of penalty for that if we pull out? Let's just say one of these buildings, somebody comes in, says they promised 100 jobs and they're ready to start and they're going to invest all this money if we can provide a building. And we want to go that direction.
Yeah, let me try to address that as I think it out loud. I was recently engaged by someone to do a broker opinion of value on a building in the Edinburgh Industrial Park on the expressway. Not north, but one of the industrial buildings.
The Renaissance.
Yes, Renaissance Industrial Park. And I was engaged to do a broker opinion of value to help the soon-to-be landlord figure out how to rent this building. And that particular end user, probably is coming to y'all to get some economic incentives. What we have to do is define the game. How are we going to deal with these buildings, which are different than dirt, completely different than dirt? And do we want to list them in the traditional way or not? It may be a decision is we're not going to do the buildings because of that very conversation that you just said. On the other hand, we're a real estate brokerage company. Our job is to protect this, in this case, the seller. We're not lawyers, but we are real estate brokers, and we know a little bit more about that part, and we can help you fashion a deal that's going to maximize the benefits to you. And if the structure of a deal says the commission isn't 6, it's 4, well, the commission isn't 6, it's 4. I mean, that's just a negotiating thing, and it would probably have to be done as a group. And I'm saying the Renaissance Industrial Park group of buildings we may have to treat differently than land in the industrial park. Not a problem from my perspective. It's just working out the details. The document, the document is a commercial real estate listing agreement. Joey's got it. There's one for sale and there's one for lease. And they're the same, but they're different. One the commission is paid based on a transaction value, which is the rental income over time, versus the selling price. You with me?
Well, I'm trying to follow you, but is there any penalty for saying,
No.
you know what, this building, we try to sell it, we had it on the market for 90 days, somebody comes in with a better idea, we're trying to get the building going, we're trying to create jobs on the EDC. We want one of the buildings that's under contract to basically be freed up so that we're not going to sell it.
That's not a problem.
We're going to do, there's no penalty
No,
on our end.
no.
Okay, is there?
We
any-
wouldn't recommend it, but the answer is no.
Right. There,
You can always set the parameters of the inventory that we're allowing them to sell or to market.
Right.
You know, whether it be just the North Industrial Park, or it could be just the buildings that we have at the Renaissance, or it could be one certain piece of property that we have that we want to get rid of. Whatever we decide as, here, this is the inventory of property that we want you to market, that's what the agreement will be.
And what you really want to do, quite frankly, Mayor, is get out of the way, let us do our job, market the property, and market it in such a way that the folks who are not here, that are maybe coming to make an offer, they got to come through us to get to Joey. Because the marketing material is going to be out there electronically and out there in the world, where people who are looking to do a deal in Edinburgh are going to come to NAI Rio Grande Valley, because they're going to find it on our website, they're going to find it on CoStar, they're going to find it on LoopNet, they're going to find it in MLS. And if they do that, then their broker is going to call us, and then we're going to have a sit down, we're going to go meet Joey, we're going to negotiate a deal. If it turns out that conversation says, well, we need to take that one off the list because of whatever, that's just a conversation from my viewpoint.
I think we just bring it, I mean, per deal to the board, and like we're negotiating now with different entities that come to us, and then you direct the executive director to proceed in that way.
Some years ago, I think I leased the Nuco building in Renaissance Park at least once.
Any questions? Mayor?
We'd be happy to work with you, with Joey, and would look forward to doing so.
Okay. I will give you my opinion, Mr. Trevino. I think that before, one of the things we do want to sell our property. That's one of the things that we've directed you to do. And we've also given you the green light to solicit the existing inventory that we have of assets. But one of the things that I would like to do is solicit for RFPs on realtors, okay, and come up with a package. Either a package one that includes the North Industrial Park, package two that includes the Renaissance buildings that we have there, package three that has other property that's outside those two industrial parks, and really formulate a package for solicitation, so we can see what fees we can receive. I'm all about going out and giving people the opportunity. You know, I've seen your sign out in numerous locations, and I know the quality of work that you provide and the service that you provide. I just feel as a board member and as a council member that we should at least go out and solicit for RFPs on this, and really look at it and assess it at that point, versus just hiring somebody right off the bat. So I hope that doesn't discourage you from your presentation here, because what we're just trying to do is we're trying to get the best for our taxpayer, whether it be at a 6% fee, 8% fee, or 4% fee. I think if we were to do it in packages, and like you said, there's different fees for a building that costs $10 million in valuation versus a $2 million. So if we can develop a package like that and solicit, I think it'll be better for us to maximize the amount of money that we receive when we do sell the property. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
Okay.
And I don't have any problem with the idea of soliciting proposals. What's important is what you put in the request.
Right.
What you put in the request needs to encompass those things that are in our proposal to you, in our resume, in our biography, in the things that we provide as a brokerage firm.
Right.
There are a lot of firms that are in the real estate business, and they sell a lot of houses.
Right.
That doesn't mean they know anything about industrial.
I agree.
Okay? And there are a lot of people that are in the real estate business that don't have the access to technology or the access to an international network because they're not part of an international network. So I would encourage you to encourage Joey, when he crafts the RFP, to ask for qualifications
Oh, definitely.
that will then narrow the scope. The good
Right.
thing is, we have some good colleagues in the Rio Grande Valley, mostly in McAllen, Edinburgh area, and we're all kind of kumbaya, you know, we work together. One of us is going to get this, and the other one's going to find the tenant or the buyer.
Right.
So one way or the other,
Right.
you're going to pay us.
Right, no, and that's why, but just for my peace of
Not a
mind and
problem.
for the taxpayer peace of mind, I think it's only logical for us to go out and, like you said, craft a proposal that's going to be beneficial to us and maximize the amount of dollars that we'll be able to receive from selling a piece of property. So,
Makes perfectly good sense, and I anticipated that question.
right, because, like you said, there's a lot of contractors out there that can't build a $30 million building versus a house that's at $100,000 or
That's right.
$200,000.
Big
So
difference.
yeah, there's a big difference. So I understand exactly what you mean by the experience and the knowledge that you have in certain industries and certain sectors of the market. So I'll direct Mr. Trevino to definitely review those proposals and make sure you craft one that's going to be beneficial to the EDC.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay? Thank you, Mr. Blunt. Appreciate you being here.
I'm going to just give.
Former city planner of Edinburgh.
No motion, so we'll take no action on
No
this.
action.
Mr. Trevino, no action?
No action, yes, sir.
Okay,
Direction, yes, sir.
yes. Okay, number 6, presentation of monthly financial reports by Mr. Chris Vidiad, CPA. Mr. Trevino.
Yes, Mr. President, members of the board, last month we hired Mr. Varial to get us back on track on our monthly financials and quarterlies and help us in our quest for our new budget. He's done a really good job working with our staff, Nelda and him. And so I'd like to introduce Mr. Varial to go over our financials. Chris, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mr. President, Board.
Mr. Vial, before you start,
Sure.
let me just say, I went over your financials, and I really appreciate how straightforward they were, very nice and clean.
Oh, nice.
And
nice.
I just want to commend you for that. Appreciate that.
And they're always up for,
Easy to read, and that's
Thank you, thank you.
That's what we
I do want to say this, though. These are your financials, and Joey's financials or the board's financials. These are the board's financials, so.
And the public. The public
and
needs
the
to
public,
understand
so-
exactly where it is.
So you want to use this information to help you make decisions. And if you ever need any tweaking or whatever, these financials are always subject, they're going to be evolving.
And I'm glad you said that, because there's one thing that
Okay.
before you go over that I would like for you to modify a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. And if you go to page, I guess it's the statement of cash receipts and disbursements.
Which one? The first report, second report?
It's it's page number, let's see, page 3.
Okay.
What I would like to see on the debt service, if we could actually break it down to each
And I
bond.
thought about that. The reason why, and we'll do that next year, let me tell you why. Because that debt service, we're using these financials and we're comparing them against the budget. And according to the budget, it just says debt service. Now, we can ask and see if the debt service and the budget was actually broken up between principal and interest. Is that what you're asking?
Well, I'm asking just to break it down per the bond.
Oh, for the bond.
What the payment that was.
Let me inquire with Joey and Nelda to see if the debt service was budgeted by the bond.
Right, like, let's say Santana bond,
And I don't-
Ebony bond, so on and so
And
forth.
we'll make that adjustment next time.
I did this portion, which I'm going to present in our budget. I really didn't coordinate with Mr. Varial on this, but this is based on the former budget that we had and the
Right.
debt service I
Yeah.
listed out. Those,
Right.
And I had already spoken to Mr. Varial.
Yeah, just like,
based on
exactly
that.
like this,
Yeah.
the way he has it broken down. I would like to see it so the public can know where the debt service is going.
Good.
They see debt service, but they don't know, okay, what projects is part of that
Yeah.
debt service.
I'll
So
break it down
if
for
we
you.
can do, if we could do that, that That would really
It'll
help.
be my enjoyment. I do want to say this as I start off, is that I utilize the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, and I get guidance from them as well. These are special framework financial statements. What does that mean? It means that special framework financial statements give us the ability to use the numbers from the financial statements that are like in QuickBooks and then compare them with a budget that's already presented. If you add a budget to a financial statement, then it's not a standardized type of AICPA financial statements. So with these special framework financial statements, I also have to emphasize that these financial statements are not subject to any kind of audit, review, or compilation, and there's no assurance on these financials because I did not audit these financial statements. So I want to throw that out there so that way you know, and I've kind of put that on the footer for each of these financial statements that you see. And according to the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants, I've got to do that. Okay? So the first report that you see is the statement of cash receipts, disbursements, and cash balance. And again, the beauty about these financial statements is that we can use these financials, compare it against the budget, measure the performance of the staff with its use of cash. And what we see here is that we've got the current month actual, we've got the year to date, we've got the budget, the percentages to date, and the remaining budget balance. And what I want to do is that I want to break it down by just talk about cash receipts first, and then we'll talk about the expenses. So you see last month that we collected $638,000. A large part of that going to be the half-cent sales tax receipts. And then we also collected the note receivable collections, and that's from the Santana. And we'll talk about a little bit more about the note receivable collections in another report going forward. So in the next column, you'll see year-to-date actual. And I'm just going to talk about the total cash receipts of year-to-date so far. We collected $4.2 million. And last month, we collected $638,000. If I want to start off, I do want to say that our annual budget is, my eyes are getting a little better here, $6.9 million. And our percentage to date is 61%. Right now, we're on the 8th month of the fiscal year, which means that we are 67% through the year. So if you look at the percentages right there, you can say, well, if we are 8 months through the year, 67% of the year, right now we're pretty close to what our budget says. Our budget says that we were supposed to collect $6.9 million throughout the full year. Well, we're at that 61% rate. So we're just a little bit slightly below where we want to be with the budget. Okay? The next category is cash disbursements. And we have a lot of categories in cash disbursements. You'll see our first line item is going to be personnel expenses. We didn't pay anything last month, but you'll see that our year-to-date is $310,000. Our annual budget is $379,000, and you'll see that we are 82%, okay, already up to that remaining budget balance. Our next category is going to be like overhead, operating expenses. Last month, we spent about $51,000. A large part of that's going to be accounting and legal. For the year so far, we spent $176,000 in operating expenses. We are at 65% of our budget. But you can see by bullet points of those expenses that you can highlight some of the main cogs of that operating expense budget. The next category is maintenance expense. And that's going to be like the Renaissance Industrial Park, North Industrial Park, and the EDC maintenance. It's a small category of $1,754 last year. For the year, we spent almost $17,000, and we are budgeted for $32,000 for the year. And percentage to date, we're at 52%. Our next category is marketing. Last month, we spent $10,000. Our budget for the year, our expense for the year is $183,000. So our budget was $300,000, and we're at 61% right now. So we are a little bit below budget right now. The next category is contractual services. Last month, we spent $7,500. Year to date, we're at $100,000. We budgeted $135,000. So that tells us that we're at 74% of the budget. The next category is development Developmental expenditures. Last month was a light month. We spent $647. Year-to-date, however, is at $780,000. Our annual budget is $3.2 million. So we are definitely under budget on that one. Our next category is capital outlay. We didn't spend any money there. Year-to-date is $13,000. We budgeted $20,000. So you can see that we're right on par with that one as well. Our final one of our final categories is the EDC properties, which includes property taxes and debt service. No money was spent last month. Year-to-date was $1.56 million. Our annual budget is $2 million. We're at 77%. What that doesn't tell you, though, is that we've already spent a large part of that on principal, which is our first month. We make two debt service payments throughout the year, one in February and one in August. The payment we make in February includes principal. The one we make in August is only interest. Okay, so you can see that a lot of our debt services budget is going to be spent already by February. But when August comes around, we pay our debt service, it's only going to include interest. Okay? So for the, then we got one over here for reserve for contingency bad debt. Nothing has been spent on that for the year. So last month, we have an increase of cash of $567,000. We started off the month with $4.8 million, and we ended up with $5.3 million, $5,373,000. Okay? So this cash balance right here will tie to the balance sheet that I want to present to you in a couple pages over. But this concludes this first report. The next page.
Well, let's, Mr. Villar, let's
Yeah.
just reiterate the year-to-date on the cash balance.
Okay.
Because what I want the public to know is that we're ahead of schedule on the year-to-date actual. We've increased our budget by our fund balance by 1.09.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's telling the public that we're spending less than what we budgeted as of 8 months into the fiscal year.
And you budgeted to only have an increase of $270,000.
That's correct. So
Okay.
that's a big savings
Yeah.
that we're showing.
Definitely.
So I want you to explain that a little bit more, please.
Well, I think I just started here last month, but if you're going to talk about savings, you're going to have to go look at the year-to-date column, and then you want to compare that with the budget.
Right.
So if you go down to the very bottom, you'll see that for the year-to-date, we have spent $3.1 million. We have budgeted to spend in total for the whole organization $6.7 million. So we're at 47%. Remember, we're already at 67% of the year, and we're at 47%.
And which is
Okay?
good.
Which is good. Which is good. So we've got $1.5 million left to spend according to the budget.
Right.
Okay? That's even if we don't even collect any money. All right? So again, our ending cash balance for the month, at the end of the month of May 31st, is $5.3 million. Any questions about this summary report?
No.
Okay. The next page is similar to the first report that I gave you. If you look at the next page, it's a bird's eye view on a month-by-month basis.
Month by month.
Month by month. We start with the first month of the fiscal year, which is going to be in October. Okay? So you got October, November, all the way through May. And if you look at the May column, if you just talk about May and you look forward after May, that resembles what we just talked about on the first page. So, but here, with the beauty about this report is that you can take a look at bird's eye view, and you can find trends with your eyes, where there's the big amounts and how did we spend the prior months. So that's the beauty about this report, is that you can find trends. Okay? Have you had a chance to look at this report before this meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Like mine?
Because there's a lot to talk about in this report if you want to go through in detail. But what we want to do is we go along on a month-by-month basis talking about these financial statements, we can identify trends on a better pace.
And I think that helps us in our budgeting process
Yes.
for the next few years.
Yes.
That's why I wanted this on there.
And what we want to do with the budget, whenever you present the budget, we want to look at this year's budget, compare it with your new budget, and we want to see the differences in the budget and explain why there's differences between last year's budget and this next year's budget.
Correct.
Okay?
Go on.
Okay. Any questions about this one?
No, we're good.
What are you laughing at?
No, it's a joke that Mayor and
Okay.
I have going on.
Okay, so the next page is the statement of net assets. And Nelda and I kind of cleaned up a lot of the books here. There's a lot of work behind the scenes, behind these numbers. There's a couple of things that we shifted around to make it look more presentable and more reliable and relevant. A couple of things that we did is that we, if you look at the other assets, the note receivable, 5 million and 10 million, well, those were sitting over there in accounts receivable. So I took it away from accounts receivable and put them down here as other assets because accounts receivable are mainly like current assets. So I did that. Another thing that we were not really kind of reporting in prior months is the receivables and lease payments. So what you see there in the accounts receivable, a large part of that is going to be the uncollected lease payments there. And I have another report after this page that will detail what that balance is. So the statement of net assets is really the statement of assets of what you own versus the statement of liabilities of what you owe. Okay? And our first category is going to be cash, $5.3 million. And that number ties back to the report that we just talked about. The next one is accounts receivable. And then you'll see total current assets. Total current assets is $5.5 million. The next category is fixed assets, which is the buildings, furniture, and land. And then the final category is other assets, which is the long-term note receivable. And you'll see the allowance for uncollectibles. And then you'll see a deferred outflow with pension, which is a number we pulled from the audit. That's directly ties back to the audit from September 30, 2017. Then we have your liabilities. Accounts payable, $47,000. That's what we owe. I've got a breakdown of that on the next couple pages. Our other current liabilities is our current portion of long-term debt. That's what we'll pay next February. Okay? Plus other comptroller sales, tax current, and that's about it on that one. Then we have the long-term liabilities is what our notes payable, payments that we're going to make after next year. So you'll see total liabilities of $18 million. So you've got total assets of $28 million, you got liabilities of $18 million. That gives us a fund balance of almost $10 million, $9.5 million.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you done with that?
I'm done with that one.
Okay. So quick point here.
Okay.
Your cash. You said 5.3 million in cash.
5.3 million in cash.
Let's be clear that some of that cash is reserved, which
Okay.
means we can't touch.
Yep.
So what I would like to see is somewhere where we could separate that, and we can, I don't know if you can, accounting wise or not,
Cash is.
but at least maybe
cash.
label it.
I will label it. We can do that. We can, on one of the line items, I don't know which account that is right now with my history here with this organization.
Right.
But we can relabel one of these accounts and call it reserve.
Right, because what I want the public to know is that money cannot be
Touched.
accessed
Okay.
for whatever reason other than what it was intended for.
Sure.
So I want to make sure that the public, they don't see 5.3 and, oh, they have
Yeah.
$5.3 million in cash. Well, no, we don't. We only
agree.
have a certain percentage because some of it is reserved.
And the above in the checking accounts, I believe, says that the debt service reserve fund.
Oh, it has them right there?
So that's
on
that
Yeah, but-
1.4 for the
What about
bond issue.
the Plains Capital Bank? Which one is that
I
one?
think the Plains Capital, is that operating? I don't know. I'll learn more about it as
Yeah,
we go along. So.
but that's the one, remember, we replenished because it was spent
Which one? The 1.7?
1.4.
Oh, 1.4?
Remember that we replenished
Okay,
it
the
with the bond.
second account, the reserve,
So that's
1.4.
just one of the debt services.
So the Texas National and the Plains Capital are actual cash accounts?
Yes,
They are?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess with those, we can.
So
figure
everything else is
We
reserved?
could put a term there right next to call it operating.
Okay, there you
So
go.
that way we use those funds for day-to-day operations,
Okay.
okay? And that's the statement of net assets. The next page is going to be the accounts receivable aging summary. As with my discussions with the board, with some of the members, you wanted to see, well, who owes us money for those leases? And who owes us money for like other note payments? So one of the things and one of the best practices I advise the staff is that as the months go by or when the new month begins, we need to start invoicing our leaseholder, our lessees, what they owe us for the month. We're not actually going to mail the invoice, but we want to record it in our books that they're owed for us for this particular month. And if they don't pay us that particular month, it will show that it's 30 days late, 60 days late as time goes on. Okay? So on this report, you'll see that it'll agree with the balance sheet that I just presented. We have 3 companies there. We have those 3 right there. You'll see that the first one is for leases, which is 90 days old, $6,480. Then you have NewCo, who has the biggest of the balance at $105,000. And you can see that $90,000, I think it was a calculation of what they owed us for prior years. Okay? And then the next one is Santana Textile. That represents May's payment for the $10 million note with the late charge. Okay?
Have we done an actual amortization?
Yes, we have an
A real
amortization
one?
schedule.
A real one?
Yes.
'Cause I know the one before I couldn't make heads or
Yes,
tails.
there is an amortization schedule.
Okay.
And
We
so
verified it, that it's correct?
I haven't verified everything there.
Okay.
But
you are in the process?
But I will. I'm in the process
Okay,
of doing
all right.
that. But according to my knowledge, this is the only payment that's owed to us from Santana. This is this
But
one right here.
once you decipher the
Yes,
amortization
yes.
schedule, then you're going to really know the true number.
And I can tell you this, that according to what I've just had my discussion with staff right now, is that this payment right here, $56,000, still hasn't been collected as of today. Okay. And the next page is the accounts payable aging summary. This ties back to the balance sheet. If you go to the very far column where it says the total column, all the way down to the bottom, $47,000, that's the number that agrees with the balance sheet. All these payables have been paid as of today.
Okay, so
Right.
we're current.
We're current on that.
All right, good job, Joey. Good job.
Okay. And again, we will,
I don't want to
We'll
get
tweak
any,
these
I don't want
financials.
to get any calls.
as you just mentioned, and excuse me, my eyes are getting a little blurry right now. I'm seeing blur right now, so I apologize for that.
Need these?
And my mouth is getting dry, so
Yeah,
I
didn't
did.
give you any water? Here. You want some water? There's some water right here.
There's some water over there.
Is it the Santana deal that's making your eyes blurry? Because it makes mine blurry every time I see it.
I can't say I don't know enough about the history of it. But I look forward to it.
All right, any questions?
If you want me to come here and present it every month, I will.
I think from now until the end of the year,
Okay.
yes, but then after next year, once you get your feet
Yeah.
wet, then I think every quarter would be fine.
And then we can also talk about, do we want to present the second report, which is the bird's eye view, month by month by month?
I think we just have it presented that way.
Yeah, that it's there.
At least for my,
Yeah.
I need to see
So you can see
that.
trends.
I need to see those trends.
Okay.
Because I have a book that I.
Well, I appreciate your
all the
time.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
Chris.
Thank you.
All right, item number 7, discuss proposed projects for upcoming fiscal years. Mr. Trevino.
Yes, sir. I had just given you my little spreadsheet there. And then I have a little presentation that you can go by.
Oh, you gonna do a presentation, Joey?
You want to go up to the podium?
I think it's, I have it on. Is that the one you have on? One, the,
The Joey, man. Playmaker.
Rating him.
Brent Guilford. Mark, okay, perfect. Mark, is there something with that? Oh, okay.
you got it on your, well, you have the.
We got
papers
it,
in
we
front
got
of
it, Joey, we're good to go, man, looks good.
You know, Mr. President, members of the board, we've been talking, you know, about strategy for this last few months. I put together kind of how we're going to start our budget process from now until October and get some direction from the board on how we're going to proceed. The big spreadsheet I gave you guys earlier, that was something I had been working on for a while. And the way I divided it up is I have all our total projected revenues on top, just like our budget. And then all our incentive agreements based on different types of priorities. So if you look at the second page of this little presentation here, I've listed out some priorities that I think we should look into and get further direction from the board how we're going to do this and budget our monies for the next 5 years and projects that you guys want us to proceed with. And one is in what's eligible through the through economic development legislation. So one is, of course, recreation, sporting venues, and entertainment facilities, infrastructure improvements, retail and hospitality, with the spur of the growth of UTRGV, medical, health, life science, industry, and manufacturing. And then, of course, workforce development, which we've partnering with the SDC on our last meeting and want to continue to do this. Of course, the recreation, sporting venues, I know that's high on you guys' list, and we're able to do this with different types of EDC funds. And these are some of the things we can do with EDC funds: is entertainment facilities, art and cultural amenities, parks, and sports tourism. Those particular things. This next slide right here, I broke that down from this budget here. If we look at the 27-18, this is what we've already allocated on that column 27-18, devoted to sports, recreation, and entertainment facilities. We got UTRGV. I guess that could, the sponsorships, but I guess that can be considered either marketing. Also, we can probably switch that into a different budget. I know.
But is that 20? Is that 75? It's 25, isn't it?
The 75,000.
I thought it was 25 a year
No.
for the next 3 years.
UTRGV sponsorships are 75 total.
Yeah, so it's 25 for 3 years.
Okay, well, my bad there.
Okay, you scared me there, Joey.
Well, you said you wanted a stadium too.
Yeah.
So Joey, you're saying that that's supposed to read, for the record, 25,000, 25,000, 25,000?
Correct. I'm sorry.
Over the next, till the year 2020?
Correct, and that's 3 years.
If it was 75, I was going to call Chris King right now.
It's going to be a nice scoreboard. So basically, what I broke in those columns of 27, 18, 5 years on out. I know we've talked about Otule doing the indoor recreation. My initial estimates on building something that's 15,000 square foot type of building is going to be about $4 million. And so if that's the direction we need to take, we're going to have to figure out where we're going to get that money in base. Memorial Park is something we've already paid. And then, of course, Capable Kids has been, $828,000. How are we going to go forward from this point on? We don't even have to put it, that was budgeted this year, but we can spread it on down, I guess, the next 3 or 4 years, or when we're ready to build that. Okay?
So Joey, are we able to, I guess we'd have to do the analysis, but are we able to seek bonds for this?
Well, remember when we had our meeting initially when I first started out there with not First Southwest or with Hilltop now? They said our bond capability, we're at our max right now.
So we're not able to go out for more bonds?
Correct.
We're gonna
According
have
to Hilltop, yes.
We're going to have to do it with the funds, with the
funds
cash
that
that we have right now, or the proceeds from sales of property?
Correct. Yes, sir. Okay, so that's one area, recreation sporting venues, and we're able to do that with 4A and through an election that we can do 4B project, and that was done years back. Infrastructure improvements, of course, that's been on our mind, and we talked about trying to use money, EDC money, for some of the infrastructure, the drainage issues that we had, the emergencies. We can use EDC funds for infrastructure projects, but it's got to be in a special project that is going to create jobs or expand jobs. So, there's probably different ways we can skin a cat. Making, developing an entertainment venue, that's part of it, and doing infrastructure, streets, parking garage, possibly, and developing an entertainment overlay district, something that's going to
Spur development.
Spur development, a downtown
so even
district.
in a developed area, so to speak, if we wanted to go in there and upgrade the infrastructure that's currently there,
Correct.
we could possibly say, well, once we upgrade, you're going to spur the development because other properties are
Right.
going to come up.
And build a parking garage to accommodate parking downtown, and maybe have some retail shops in the bottom. There's some different ways and some ideas I'd like to present to the board as we go on that would, I think, would enhance, and then maybe even create this corridor that was planned years before. So those are the items we can use EDC funds on: drainage, water, sewer extensions, transportation, traffic control. We're looking at the bus system, the bus terminal, site improvements, gas utilities, and of course the airport. We're able to use some of that money for that. Again, the next page is what we've allocated this year. The transit facility is $200,000. We're going to have to do a parking lot when that transit, and we were thinking about the building that's on this side of it, the old building right to the north of it, tearing that down and providing parking. We also have our EDC property across the street that was going to be used as student housing, proposed years ago. So, there's some ideas that we need to toss around and see how we want to proceed. Of course, the Pause Center sponsorship, that can go into our sponsorship category, but that we're set for $10,000 for the next 5 years on that one. Any questions on the infrastructure improvement types of project that we would like to go? Retail and hospitality, of course, that's one of our things that we've been doing quite a bit of, and hospitality, retail, restaurants, hotel, motel, resorts, and of course the small business incentive. And here we go, the breakdown on this one. That's pretty much a lot of our incentive money that we have right now in 2017, 2018, $1,093,000. That's and $1,015,000 for the next 2 years, and then it dwells down to $597,000 in the third year. So I think what we need to figure out is who we're going to chase after, retail, and how we're going to market that portion. Are there any questions on that? The other one is, of course, with the expansion of UTRGV, the medical school, we would like to work with them and promote some of the new medical health, life science industries and manufacturing. Yes, sir.
All right.
Hold on, Joey. Yes, sir. Hey, Joey. No questions, anything?
No.
Okay, that's retail and hospitality. Of course, we want to attract new businesses, new industry into the area in manufacturing. I think one opportunity is to piggyback with the UTRGV medical school and the school and to develop some types of new industries in medical health and life sciences. So we have nothing right now programmed right now, but I think that's something we can do in the near future. The other thing is the workforce development and education. I believe that's very important. Of course, we've talked about that constantly of developing a qualified workforce to attract these new businesses. The one thing we have, is our old EDC building, and we're going to convert that. And so we'll have to figure out how to budget that the next few years in developing either a training center, an incubator, or a makerspace with the city. With that, I do have this little budget. I know at the end we talked about the debt service and what some of the monies that the EDC has paid in the past, and we talked about the soccer fields. There's $1.3 million that the EDC paid to build those soccer fields, and it was supposed to be reimbursed in an agreement through hotel motel tax, and that was never done. We talked about, so I think there's opportunities for us to get that funding back or use that, the city can use that on other projects as park projects also as our contribution. And of course, the Ebony Golf Course is another $3.5 million that the EDC pays and part of our debt service. So this is some things I want you all to start thinking about. We're going to be having more budget sessions, and so for you guys to give us direction on how to create these next projects on the next 5 years.
Thank you, Joey. I'd like to recommend a workshop. I know we tried it the last time over at the landfill.
Correct.
We do have a new city manager that's taking over Monday.
Okay.
Let's get something brewing in the next couple of weeks, just so we can kind of see where both of us are standing right now, and we can see how we can get some of that money reimbursed for these soccer fields.
Okay. Agree.
All right, thank you, Joey, appreciate it. All right, for the record, we have Mr. Mike Farias here at 8:53 p.m. No.
Thank you.
All right, number 8, discuss and consider authorizing the executive director to enter into an agreement with Armando's Pizza and Subs for the participation in the Small Business Renovation and Improvement Grant Program. Mr. Trevino.
Mr. President and members of the board, our first application is in. We've got her ready to go. She's filed her application, and we've even got a TV commercial ready to go next week. They came out really good. So I bring this before you. Mrs. Villarreal, of course, has owned Armando's Pizza since the year 2000. Her and her daughter operate this. She's provided all the required information the application has suggested, and they're looking at a signage and a air conditioning expansion. So with the 1,810 for the signage and 7,500 for the AC renovations for that.
Okay, so how are we going to verify that the monies that were submitted, that the invoices that were submitted, that are actually paid and the work was done?
By the directions we're supposed to take, I mean, they're supposed to submit the pay up front and also provide us the receipts, and And I guess.
Okay, so they're going to pay up front, and then we're just going to reimburse
It's going
them?
to be, always been based on a reimbursement process. And
Okay.
they have to go, make sure they get all the permits from the city, anything that needs to be done.
But we're not going to physically go out there and make sure that
Well,
the work is done?
We would need to do that. I think that'd be prudent for a staff member to go out there and make sure all the.
I think so. I
Yes,
think that'd be a
definitely.
good idea.
Exactly, that's exactly what I was going to recommend.
Okay, that's not a problem. Correct. Okay, that's not a problem.
Good idea. All right, so, just for the record, Armando's Pizza is, asking for $9,310. Is that correct, Mr. Trevino?
Sir. That's correct.
For the Small Business Renovation and Improvement Grant Program. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a motion to approve this item.
We have a motion by Mayor Molina, second by Councilman Salinas. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Number 9, discuss and consider entries received for the EEDC logo community contest and possible approval of the EEDC logo. Mr. Trevino.
Mr. President, members of the board, as we indicated 2 months ago, I believe it was, we went out to the community to see if they can help us develop a new logo for the EDC. It was June 15th was our drop dead date, and we did receive not as many as I was expecting, but we did have 8 different logos. Really kind of different. They have on your pages. We didn't put any names so y'all wouldn't know who they were. If y'all want to go ahead and decide or look at them, or maybe even pick one and see if we can work with the individual, or not pick any, and go out and
I say you expanded a little bit.
expand it. So-
Right. I say we go back out.
it was a strange time because school was out, and we were trying to get the school kids to be involved in with graduation and all that. It was kind of tough, but
I think
we
you should
do
extend.
have
Extend the time.
well, we're working with the new website people, and I was kind of hoping we can get something really good. Or I know one submittal, they submitted 3. One person submitted 3, and I don't know if you liked any of those 3. We can work with them to present one, or just we want to just go out and
I want to
redo it.
extend it.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like they took some aspects of our old logo and put it in there.
I think we should just,
So extend it for another month? Or,
I don't know, but make that call.
if
We'll give you the discretion to make
because
that
we're
call.
still in summer, we do
Yeah.
need to get going on our website and some of our,
We'll get some-
so if you think we
Okay.
can get some more next month or 2, or even
We'll
wait.
leave
Sounds
that up
good
to you.
Sounds good to
do
me.
we have any, artists come out?
We can approach them.
Those guys?
We can approach them, I think so.
Reach
Okay,
to our local artists,
right.
you know, 'cause
Mhm. Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so we'll leave it up to your discretion,
Do-
the extension,
The
the
extension.
extending of time.
Okay.
All right? Okay, so no action on number 9. Number 10, discuss and consider approving the transfer of lease agreement with Rogali, how you pronounce that? Rogali? Rogali? International Foods LLC, DBA Rogali New and Used Clothing to JCM Export LLC. Mr. Trevino.
Yes, Mr. President, members of the board, we currently have a lease agreement with Mr. Roberto Galindo, owner of Rogali New and Used Clothing, for the lease in the building at 1710 Industrial Park here in Edinburgh. The lease expires May 31st, 2020. However, he is in negotiations to sell his building to Mr. John McHugh, owner of JCM Export. And on our leases, are not transferable. They have to be approved by the board in order to transfer the lease in name. And it also provides a 30-day termination notice that, Mr. Galindo and Mr. McHugh are aware with or in agreement
So
with.
everything's going to stay the same, it's just the name change?
It's a new leasee.
Right.
Yeah, we'll have.
But
to-
everything's going to stay the
Correct.
same?
Mhm.
All the terms?
All the
It's just
terms, correct.
the names change?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And it went through legal?
Well,
We haven't done it yet. I haven't looked at it, just trying to get it approved, and then we'll draft a new agreement.
Okay.
But pursuant to
All
the
right.
same terms that the current lessees have.
Okay. All right, do I have a motion?
they're here to, if you like to.
Pretty
Yes, good
straightforward.
evening. My
Yes.
name is Roberto Galindo, and as probably you can see on my agreement, I have been in leasing for maybe 5 years ago, and this new lease, it has only 1 year ago. So what I want to do is to make the transfer to the new buyer that's going to take my business. This person has partnership with John McHugh. He's in Phoenix. And the intention of them is to create more jobs here. As well, what they want is probably in the near future to buy the warehouse.
That's good. All right, appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you,
Do I have a motion?
Motion to
Thank you.
approve upon recommendation of our attorney.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Molina, we have a second by Councilman Salinas. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign, motion carries. Thank you, sir. Motion's approved.
Thank
All
you,
right?
sir.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. We'll see you.
Good night.
Sorry that you had to wait so long.
No. I learned a lot, believe me.
Well, that's good. All right, thank you very much, appreciate it.
Discuss and consider ratifying the
Item approved. Number 11, discuss and consider ratifying the employment contract for the EDC Executive Director. Do I have a motion? Have a motion?
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Farias,
Second.
second by Councilman Salinas. Any discussion?
discussion. What is this? What do we consider ratifying?
We're just basically what we approved during his evaluation. All we're doing is
Oh, I remember.
ratifying the
I
terms
got it.
of
I got it. Yeah.
the terms of the evaluation.
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so we got a motion by Mr. Farias.
Yes, sir.
Second by Councilman Salinas. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item approved. Item 12, Executive Director's Report. Mr. Trevino.
Just wanted to quick give you an update what we did. The mayor and I and Councilman Torres took a trip to Washington, D.C. on the 11th through the 14th, and with the Rio Grande Valley Partnership. We had some really good meetings individually and as a group. And Mayor, I don't know if you want to elaborate more on some of the meetings you had with the senators and some of our representatives and how we can go forward from now.
You know, previously, we spent a lot of money on lobbyists. That budget has been cut, but a lot of the senators, a lot of the staff that's out there that are willing to work with us directly. I know Congressman Gonzalez's office is very helpful. Senator Cornyn, Senator Cruz, his office is very, very helpful. So I encourage you all to get to know the chief of staffs, both locally and also the ones that are in Washington, and establish a relationship with them. A lot of the things that we're looking at doing is getting extra funding for a lot of these projects, especially all the things that we talked about, infrastructure. So I know that we have another trip that we're designated to take here soon so that we can get more one-on-ones. This was more of a group thing. There was myself, Mayor Darling from McAllen, different mayors throughout different cities. But we're going to take another trip just to get more one-on-ones and kind of A lot of these people, they hear about Edinburgh, but it's just getting in their ear enough to where we can get some of these funds that can help our community. But great trip. Joey and I worked early and went to bed late simply with all the contacts that you're making out there. So it's good. And I do encourage you all to take the next trip. It's not going to be a part of the RGB partnerships, but really it's getting in their ear. And it's funny because I had just mentioned,
Unless we
Our
drive, I won't
infrastructure.
be going.
well, if you take off right now, we have a trip planned for August, so you'll get there on time.
Meet us there.
So anyways, just very, very productive meeting, and all the staffs are very, very helpful. For instance, if you want to go, we went and talked about the airport. They're letting you know where to go exactly to get the funding for the airport. So they talked about a master plan that's going to be done in Dallas. So they're referring you to the proper channels. And a lot of it, you can do it through email, but it's good to do the face-to-face eventually. So Dallas
Right.
is
It's Fort Worth. It was
better
close.
for you.
Fort Worth we can drive.
Yeah.
All right, any other comments?
I just wanted to make a comment, Mr. Farias, did the school board act on this STC MOU? Was that
It wasn't on the agenda, but they said they're going to put it on July.
July?
Yes.
Okay. One reason is because Julian Alvarez, the Texas Workforce Commissioner, when I explained to him that we were working with STC and possibly the school district on the apprenticeship, youth apprenticeship program, he said, come visit now, we got some new monies.
Okay.
Come and we'll get you going on this. Hopefully, I was hoping that the approval was tonight, but Carlos Margo and I set up a meeting with him Friday morning in Austin. We're gonna drive up there and talk to him and his staff on how we can approach and get that money to us on that workforce development.
And who all's going to go to that meeting?
So far, it's just me and then Carlos Margo from STC.
Okay.
So I just wanted to report to the board that I'll be
Thank
doing
you.
that Friday.
Okay, sales tax report?
Sales tax, we didn't attach the sales tax on here? I
No.
thought it was part of the, we're up. I think we're up another 7% this year.
From last year?
No,
Or from the previous month?
From last year also, yeah.
From last year?
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
Other than that, I have nothing else to report.
okay.
I've got a question, if
Yes.
you don't mind. I'm just wondering, is that part of the budget cuts going black and white?
No.
No?
that's
Okay.
It's scarier
okay.
that way.
I'm just wondering, that's all.
Joey's tight as man.
My complexion. All right, do I have a motion for executive?
so move.
Have a motion by Mayor Molina, second by Councilman Salinas. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign, motion carries. Mr. Vela,
What's the official time?
the time is 9:08.
Give me one. This time, the board will go into executive session to discuss under 551.071, consultation with attorney, 551.072, deliberations regarding real property, 551.074, personnel matters, 551.087, deliberations regarding economic development negotiations. No action will be taken until we come back to open session.
All right, thank you. To re-enter regular session,
So move.
have a motion by Councilman Salinas.
Second.
Second by Mayor Molina. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. For the record, no action was taken in executive session. The time is 10:20. Letter D, deliberate possible action regarding the contractual obligations with Santana Textiles LLC. Do I have a motion?
Need a motion to pull that out of executive.
I would like to make a motion, Mr. Chair, to direct our city attorney,
No, we need
I
to
mean,
remove it from,
I'm
bring it
sorry, to
Bring
direct,
it to open.
Bring it to a vote.
Bring it to open
we need a
first.
motion to
Bring
take
it
it out of executive and put it in regular session.
make a motion to bring it out on the open.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Molina,
Second.
Second by Mr. Farias. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. So we have an item for action, deliberate possible action regarding the contractual obligations with Santana Textiles LLC. Mr. Vela?
We just need a motion for me to proceed as you all have directed in executive session moving forward on this matter.
Motion by Councilman Salinas,
Second.
second by Mr. Farias. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed, same side. Motion carries. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Salinas,
Second.
second by Mr. Farias. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Time is 10:22.